So, one of the recent announcements just completely stunned the entire AI community, and by the entire AI community, I mean those of you who are focused on the space and following the updates on a day-to-day basis. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Elon Musk just unveiled his new AI that's got everyone talking. Now take a look at this tweet by Musk. This tweet got 66 million views, and if you don't know what this means or why this was such an incredible statement from Musk on social media, it's because he basically just confirmed that the sus column R model, which popped up anonymously on benchmarks and many people were speculating about for months to be one of OpenAI's model, was actually Grok 2. Now, the thing about this new AI model is that if we do take a look at the initial benchmarks, we can see that on the leaderboards for various AI tests, this model actually performed rather well. I have to be honest, when looking at the leaderboards, especially on areas like language understanding and problem solving, one of the things you do have to do is note that sometimes things aren't exactly as they seem. Sometimes models aren't tested with the right context length. Sometimes there aren't, the right kind of queries. But when I've looked into the early reports on this new AI, this has been a model that has consistently been basically state of the art. Now, you remember in my recent video, we actually spoke about the current AI landscape, and one of the things that I mentioned was that we're moving from a stage where we've got these standard AI models to where we've now have models that are more so trying to reason about their questions and queries in order to make themselves more helpful. If you haven't been familiar with the recent updates from other major AI labs, they were some of the first to actually incorporate this reasoning capability natively into their models. One of the early things we saw from these advanced models was that we could actually look internally at what the AI was thinking before it responded to a message. And I'm guessing that this, combined with extra data, more training, better post-training and pre-training, and of course, an entirely new model architecture, is what we're seeing with Musk's new AI. Now, you can see that it apparently manages to beat some of the top models out there. The only problem is we don't have full access to this new AI just yet because it's slowly being rolled out. But you can see that it does beat some major players in certain benchmarks. Now, I would, question some of these results because on the leaderboards, consistently from what I've heard from people diagnosing the hardest issues, the best AI in terms of raw intelligence has been some other models. You have to remember that these benchmark leaderboards don't just measure things like intelligence, they measure things like how an AI manages to actually form responses and how helpful the responses are in comparison to another AI. So always, take that into consideration when you're looking at which model you want to use, because these leaderboards, while useful, don't serve every purpose that you might think they do. Now, once again, they released the overall performance metrics for this new AI. I gotta be honest, it's kind of annoying having to decipher some of these charts and graphs. I mean, there's easier ways to present data, but that's not part of this video. The point here is that what we are looking at is a remarkable release from Musk's team, because the thing is that they came into the game in terms of AI pretty late compared to everyone else. A lot of people did count out Musk's AI efforts because they're a much smaller team, and they don't have the necessary billions and billions of dollars and infrastructure like some of the big tech giants have had, considering that those companies have been existing for quite some time. So the fact that a much smaller team on a shorter timeline has managed to reach state-of-the-art shows us that there are still innovations to be had in terms of the many different teams that are going to be working on different AI products. I think this is rather fascinating because what we see here is that this is essentially their top-level model. And honestly, like when I've seen some of the early demos, using it definitely did feel like it was a state-of-the-art model. It didn't feel comparably worse in many scenarios, and I'm going to show you guys later on in the video a small demo of some of the things that this AI actually does well. What we can also see here is the win rate of Musk's new AI against competing models on various benchmarks, and we can see that it manages to outperform pretty much every single model apart from a couple of very new experimental ones, which is rather interesting. Some people have tested it and found it to be not great, and others have tested it like myself and have found it to be absolutely amazing. So I think one of the things I would say to you, and this is something that I've been saying in certain communities and to people that have, asked me about this, is that with these large AI models, all of them have different kind of areas of expertise that are going to be different for every single person. For some of your queries and some of your requests, it might be best to, of course, test out all of the, top models to see which one kind of edges out in the competition. There isn't just one model for absolutely everything, although you might think that. Some models are more creative, some models are more structured in terms of their responses, and some models are just completely raw intelligence. So I think there's definitely a mixed bag on different things here that you can completely use. And some people, interestingly enough, on their own benchmarks, have tested things like smaller, underrated models that have enough reasoning to do a lot of low-level tasks really well, and a lot of tasks that previously you would have used top-tier models for. Now, I want to show you guys some of the capabilities of Musk's new AI because it is rather surprising, and you might laugh at the tests, but I think they're pretty humorous. One of the things that we do know is the fact that many AI models struggle with certain tasks due to how they process information. But somehow, I'm not entirely sure how they've done this, because it doesn't seem to be like a traditional approach. It seems to be rather fast, intuitive, and quick. For example, when I ask this model to perform tasks that typically trip up other AIs, it manages to get it right every single time. This is a model that seems to have an engine that kind of reasons in a way that I'm not understanding just yet, because it didn't, use step-by-step prompting to reason that way. Usually, if it does step-by-step prompting, for example, with other top models, if you ask this, it will usually give you the wrong answer. Then you have to say, write it out step by step. What's cool about this, is that we can see here that this is potentially natively built in. I think the reason I don't see this model managing to do the step-by-step calculations is because this might be a fast and lightweight version, which means that it's likely that this model could have done all of those previous steps within a split second. If that is true, then that means that this model would definitely be smarter than, other models of a similar size, because usually what I've seen when models are able to do that, they output better responses. So if you do want to use this new AI, and I know a lot of people are excited about it, it's completely up to you. But like I said before, this is, Elon's way of getting people to use his technology, and I can't hate him for that. If you spent billions of dollars on AI development, you'd be doing anything to get people to use the platform. So if you do want to use this new AI, you'd unfortunately need a premium X account. If you already have one, head over to X and try it out for yourself and let us know what you think in the comments down below. And that's all for this video, folks. If you've stuck around this long, I really appreciate that. If you liked the video, why not like and subscribe? It's sure to help the channel and motivate me to continue doing what I do. If on the other hand you didn't like the video, please let me know in the comments below so that I can improve my mistakes. As always, you've all been fantastic. Stay tuned for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.